Today I am doing my magical readathon TBR video. Now this is a little bit optimistic, I think, because I'm also doing the Schwab readathon, which I'm running with my friend Nisha from the channel On the Margins Of, but G from the channel Book Roast is running a magical Harry Potter themed readathon from the 17th of December, which is tomorrow, until the 24th of December, I think. And it just sounded so fun that I thought that I would give it a go. I have until the end of January for the Schwabathon, so hopefully I have time to do this as well. So the first challenge of the magical readathon is to finish your coursework, which is to finish your current read. And this is very much going to depend on how my reading goes today, I think, because I'm actually currently reading two books. So the first is The Archived by V.E. Schwab. This is the first book in the archived duology. The second book being The Unbound, which I am going to read as well, but not necessarily as part of the magical readathon. This book is set in a world, well, it's urban fantasy, so it's set in our world, but in this version of our world, the dead are kept in the archive and are called histories with a capital H, and their bodies are stored as a way of storing human history, and librarians are their caretakers and are able to read the histories, but occasionally a history will escape from the archive, and if and when they do, it is the job of the keepers to return them to the archive, and our main character, Mackenzie Bishop, is one of these keepers, and this story follows her and her adventures as a keeper. I'm only on I've just finished chapter 14, so I'm probably about halfway through this book. It was a little bit of a slow start, but I'm into it now and I am really enjoying it. So that's one of the two books that I'm currently reading. The other is actually on my Kindle, and I'll put a picture of it here because I can't show you the cover because I'm in the middle of reading it. But it is The Near Witch. That one is also a Schwab book, but it's a Victoria Schwab book. So it's the same author, but the difference is this is an adult novel and The Near Witch is a middle grade or young adult novel. And the tone is very, very different. The Near Witch, I have a little bit of trouble explaining what the plot is about because there's not so much going on, but essentially it's set in a little village called Near, where children start going missing after a stranger comes into town, and it's a little bit of a mystery, a little bit whimsical, a little bit magical. It was actually Schwab's first published novel, with The Archived being her second, and honestly the difference between the first and the second novels is vast. She really has settled into her writing style, I think, with The Archived. Nisha and I were actually discussing it last night, and we think that maybe one of the differences is the fact that The Near Witch was published by Disney, which would lend itself more to a whimsical tale, which maybe isn't so much what Schwab likes to write, whereas she maybe had a bit more freedom to follow her darker story preferences with The Archive. But I am enjoying them both. I'm hoping I'll finish The Archive today, but that might be a bit optimistic given how much pre-filming I need to do for the holiday season. So yeah, I'll be finishing them both at some point, but one or the other or both of them will count for this first challenge in the magical readathon. The next challenge, there was a choice of two, and I decided to help Hagrid decorate the Christmas trees, which equates to reading a book with gold on the cover. And I have a couple of options for this, and I think that I will decide which of these two books I'll read based on how I feel at the time, but probably what I'll read is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, which has this lovely gold font and detailing, and there's gold on the spine as well. It's very pretty. This one I was wanting to read this month anyway. I was thinking about participating in the Readathon, I think that's what it's called, which was also running, or is also running, between the 17th and the 24th of December, and involves reading the 5 books in the Grishaverse. Now, if I'm being honest, doing that readathon and this readathon and my own readathon is maybe a little bit too optimistic, but I do still want to read these books, so it seems like a natural fit to start with this one. And if I end up devouring them all, then great, that's an extra readathon down, but if I don't, then it's no big deal. So I think I'm probably going to read this one. However, I do have a backup just in case I feel like I need it. So my backup is The Wizards of Once by Cressida Cowell. This one has gold just there. I mean, it's not as much gold, but there is still gold, so I'm going to count it. So this one, I believe, is young adult, although I'm not sure. And it follows a soldier who discovers that she has magical powers, and she has to go off to a magical school of sorts to learn how to use her powers and to join in an epic war. So essentially it's all your basic fantasy tropes rolled into one. It sounds kind of interesting to me. I like the sound of it. There aren't a lot of tropes that bother me that much, and reading the same ones over and over again doesn't necessarily bother me that much either. So I think I'm probably going to be picking that one up. But like I said, this one is my option number 2. This is a middle grade novel that follows a wizard and a witch who have been fighting for so long that they don't even know what they're fighting over anymore, and they maybe are missing things that are going on in the world as a result. So I don't know too much about this one, but also sounds really interesting, and really the reason I've got this as a backup is because this is a middle grade. It, in theory, should be an easier read than Shadow and Bone. So if I feel like I'm going to struggle, then I might swap to this one. But technically, this one's actually longer, so we'll see. The next challenge was one that everybody participates in, and it's joining everyone together at the Hog's Head for a glass of mulled pixie wine, which is to read a book that you can finish in a day or an evening. And for this one, I have picked Full Metal Alchemist Volume 4. This is a manga series that follows 2 brothers, Edward and Alphonse Enric, who are alchemists, and when they tried to break the rules of alchemy to bring their mother back from the dead, things went horribly wrong, and Edward lost a leg and Alphonse lost his whole body. And so Edward gives up his arm in order to save his brother and put his brother's soul inside a suit of armour. And the purpose of the series is them hunting down ways in which to restore themselves to the young men that they once were. However, they also are state alchemists, which means that they get into lots of trouble trying to resolve lots of mysteries and things. It's very good. I'm enjoying it so far. I've read volumes 1 to 3 and they are super quick reads because it's manga. So hopefully I should be able to read this one in an evening, no problem. The next challenge, again, there was a multitude of options, but the challenge that I have picked was to take Dobby in the kitchens a sock as a present. And the challenge for this one is to read a book with a piece of clothing on the cover. So for this one, I would like to read Nevermore by Jessica Townsend. This is a middle grade book which follows a girl named Morrigan Crow who is cursed, and she lives in a town where everything that goes wrong is blamed on her because of her curse. And the main part of her curse is that she will die on her 11th birthday. But when her 11th birthday rolls around, instead of dying, she is taken by a man named Jupiter North to a magical school to engage in a magical tournament. Two of my favourite tropes ever, yes, so really looking forward to reading this one. Again, I have a backup just in case, which is To All the Boys I've Loved Before by Jenny Han. Both of these, there are people on the covers wearing clothes, so I'm counting that. To be honest, I'll probably read Nevermore, but I have this one just as a backup, just in case. This one follows a girl named Laura Jean who writes love letters to the 5 boys that she's had a crush on, and she keeps them secret, but they get out and they get delivered and she has to deal with the fallout. I'm pretty sure everybody already knows what this book is about anyway, because it's been all over BookTube this year. There's a Netflix film which I have seen and was really fun, so if you haven't seen that, I would recommend checking that one out. And then the last challenge, or the last one that I picked, because again there were various options, was to use the invisibility cloak to go to the restricted section of the library. And the challenge for this one is to read a banned book. So I did some research on banned books, and I didn't realise that, and there's some debate over whether or not this is true, but I didn't realise that Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss was actually banned in China for a period of time. And that's a nice quick read, and I haven't read it for years, and I really like Dr. Seuss, so I think I'm going to pick up that one. And those are all of my books for the Magical Readathon, which I'm super looking forward to. I hope that I can manage it, especially alongside the Schwabathon. But that's it for this one. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more like this from me, then do think about hitting that subscribe button. I'd be so grateful. And I hope to see you here again soon. Thanks. Bye.